5:45 p.m., which means it's time for BCTV's Nightly News Roundup. I'm Roland Boyden, joined once again at the desk by Joe Bushy. Joe, thanks for hanging out with me on a Friday afternoon weekend edition of 5:45 Live as we gear up for next week's Gallery Walk and Slow Living Summit, Strolling of the Heifers. We'll talk all that kind of stuff, but we got a jam-packed show coming up for tonight, this week as well. What do we got, Joe? On deck tonight, we'll get a live-action preview of this summer's Southern Vermont Dance Festival. We'll prep for Bernie's VA Town Hall gathering in town tomorrow. And also, we'll get the breakdown on this 2013 legislative session from Representatives Mike Mrowicki and Senators Jeanette White. So if you've got the time and the attention span, as I like to say, stick with us right here on 5:45 Live. Welcome back to this May 31st, 2013 edition of 5:45 Live. I'm Roland Boyden alongside Joe Bushy. Joe will be taking folks through the next 15 minutes into that regularly scheduled 6 o'clock news. What was that we were looking at? Well, that was footage from the trailer to the Green Mountain Adventure Challenge. That's a Dover-based hiking getaway centered around the search for Vermont war hero John Stark's infamous treasure. The package, which sets adventurers tracking a series of clues across mountain trails and small town centers, is open now through September. And promises a workout for the mind and body. More info can be found at greenmountainvermont.com. All right, moving on, Joe, we'll start by talking about something happening this weekend with Vermont U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders. Now, he chairs the Veterans Affairs Committee in the Senate. He wants to talk a little bit about the state of affairs for veterans in the country. It's happening, I believe, at the VFW. Black Mountain Road tomorrow at noon. That's right. 12:30 meeting begins, noon, lunch starts. And in addition to Senator Sanders, it'll also be Deb Amdur, the director of White River Junction VA Medical Center. And also there will be others there. And among other things, they'll be discussing how can Vermont veterans access the health care they need and how can we improve on that delivery system. So, there you go. Hardworking BCTV producer Russ Grabiak will be there, which means we'll have a clip or two for you on Tuesday's broadcast of 5:45 Live. But in the meantime, let's take a look at some of the clips we've compiled. And open to the public. So. Exactly. Let's take a look at Bernie talking about Veterans Affairs and what the country needs to do to keep up. Let's take a look.
That when men and women put their lives on the line to defend this country, they must be treated with dignity and respect when they return. Not with red tape, not with bureaucracy, not with, in some cases, years of delay before that they get the benefits to which they are entitled.
Clips courtesy of Bernie's YouTube channel, Senator Sanders, all one word, where you can find all those videos. Take a look at them. Now, moving on, Joe, I want to talk a little bit more about Washington, D.C. for a moment. But this was a year that put Washington's lack of progress in the spotlight. But conversely, we saw a record passing of more than 100 new pieces of legislation in our own Green Mountain state this spring, something that prompted Windham District 4 Rep and Montpelier Connection host Mike Mrowicki to join Windham County Senator Jeanette White in BCTV's studios yesterday for a breakdown of this year's progress in the Vermont legislature. There was a mix of high-profile topics like death with dignity and decrim, and also some less headline familiar topics like patent trolling and license suspension amnesty. Now, White says all of this is worth noting. We've got the clip.
We passed 100 bills during this session. Some of those are really little bills that have a huge impact on some people, but aren't glitzy and will never get publicity.
Senator Jeanette White, Windham County Senator Jeanette White, when she was here at BCTV yesterday talking about a bevy of legislation passed in the Vermont legislature this past session. Now, one of those, Joe, as I'm sure you took note of, was the decriminalization of marijuana. Absolutely. It certainly is a step in the right direction, although my own personal belief, I don't think it's the rightest answer, but like I say, it certainly is a step in the right direction. If any of you saw the letter that Dale wrote to the Reformers editor here recently,
it's moving in the right direction. We applaud the efforts of all those that have taken it that far, including Senators White and others, and Matt Simon from Marijuana Policy Project, who played a role in lobbying in the state capitol in Montpelier. But you can certainly look at the Marijuana Resolve website, marijuanaresolve.com, for more information as to the status of that in this legislature, and I will be looking forward to more progress in next legislative session. So,
a point of note,
see how it turns out.
Says Senator Jeanette White, who noted a few of the bill's practical benefits they hope will come to the state, as they have in other states that have decriminalized marijuana, things like reduced prison rates. There's been an ongoing problem with ineligibility for student loans for folks who have a marijuana charge on their record. This should help with that, but this is not full legalization. Let's hear her explanation of that.
It's still contraband. It's still an illegal substance. And I know that there is controversy around that some people feel it didn't go far enough, but it is still illegal, but the penalty for it is a civil penalty.
You can see that full interview with Jeanette and District 4 Rep Mike Merwicki at BrattleboroTV.org. All right, move on, Joe, and talk a little bit about some dancing in town. For that, I'll throw it back to you and your close-up.
All right, next up, the Southern Vermont Dance Festival may not be set to hit Brattleboro until July 18th, but today members of their committee made their way to the River Garden for an informal press conference of sorts that included a little dancing demo. Hardworking BCTV volunteer Maria Dominguez was there to gather a clip for us.
Thinking about the downtown and thinking about the business that continues to support the downtown, to have a reason to come downtown. And having dancers over a 4-day festival is going to be super.
Next up, the Dummerston Covered Bridge has reopened after closing yesterday and today for repairs by Renaud Company, following a little bit of a run-in with a budget box truck last month, an encounter that left the bridge with no structural damage, but did result in a citation for the truck's operator, who seemed to think he should make a run for it following his roof-scraping ride across the bridge.
We're going to take a little rewind in time to our coverage when we first got that Vermont State Police report and got a few photos of it as well. Let's get the story. That a budget truck has crashed into the covered bridge on East West Road in Dummerston. Members of the state police responded to the scene and found fresh damage and debris on the covered bridge. The investigation revealed that at approximately 5:15 p.m., a large budget box truck struck the east end of the covered bridge.
And if you didn't know that bridge work was being done, you're not alone. Members of the Dummerston Select Board themselves were among the town's residents unaware of the closure, a fact members found worth debating at last night's regularly scheduled meeting.
They had put a little tiny one-liner under public notices that the covered bridge was going to be closed, and no one really would look there. I wouldn't look there.
Footage from this week's Dummerston Select Board meeting. You can find that at BrattleboroTV.org to stream at your leisure, where you can skip ahead. You can also find when it's showing on our Government and Education sister channel, Channel 10. Again, all those schedules are at BrattleboroTV.org. All right, Joe, we're going to move on to talk Slow Living Summit. It's the whole town's abuzz with Strolling of the Heifers weekend, which includes the summit now. But it's worth noting that despite the June 1 date, tomorrow, Saturday, that is not, in fact, Strolling of the Heifers Day. They have partnered it with Gallery Walk, which will be next Friday. So the Slow Living Summit is all next week. That does mean that we have a Tuesday show of 5:45 Live to really get into it, hype the summit, the parade, and get ready for BCTV's live 4-camera HD coverage of that parade, which is next Saturday. But we wanted to talk a little bit about this upcoming Slow Living Summit as well, Joe, as we were doing our research on it, taking a look at their website and even their Wikipedia page, looking back at, they've had what now, a 3-year run, I believe?
This is the third year, the third annual Slow Living Summit, which will be the 5th through the 7th this year. And it was organized by Orly Munzing and the Strolling of the Heifers. And it has drawn more than 400 people from across the United States. And some of the speakers have included author and activist Bill McKibben, who some of you may know founded 350.org. Also, Google Community Affairs Director Matt Dunn from Vermont here. Gary Hirschberg from Stonyfield Farm. You may be familiar with their yogurt. And also Senator Bernie Sanders. among
Might be
others.
familiar with him.
You might.
The Slow Living Summit is a 2.5-day conference in Brattleboro, Vermont, focused on sustainable living, resilient communities, and the personal inner transformations that are necessary for both.
The Slow Living Summit articulates some of the visions and strategies and tools needed to make that transition.
Just a few things left to wrap up here in this 545 Live edition, including our 7-town summary. I'll do my quick little spiel, Joe, before I let you get into the story. The B in BCTV stands for Brattleboro, of course. But there's 7 other towns in the area that we serve, including Vernon, Guilford, Dummerston, Putney, Newfane, Townsend, and Jamaica, and we get select board meetings from every one of those towns, also a Leland and Gray school board meeting, all courtesy of our field producer, Rich Melanson, who also happens to slip me some notes, let me know what's going on in these towns so we can get you a little clip. And I believe today, Joe, we got another one.
All right, well, our 7-town summary today takes us to Guilford, where this week the board received an update from the Village of Algiers annual meeting. And while Algiers may be Guilford's village center, the hamlet has its own set of financial concerns, pushing a long-running resource consolidation debate, with divisions like the fire department looking to ease the financial pressures of a small-town infrastructure. A concept, says Guilford Town Assistant Katie Buckley, every municipality is more than a little familiar with.
Folks came and asked if the town would consider taking over the fire district. They were tapped, they were tired.
And just like that Dummerston Select Board meeting we saw a clip of earlier, you can watch that full Guilford Select Board meeting at BrattleboroTV.org. All right, Joe, that's all I got on the teleprompter script for us. I'll let you throw us a few closing remarks. Thanks for joining me on kind of a slapdash
Thanks for waiting
haphazard,
for me. Thanks for waiting for me.
545 Live.
Sun is shining, and it's like an oven out there. So
It really is, boy.
it'll probably be snowing again in no time, so give it a minute. Here, what you think about it, in 1 week we saw snow and 90 degrees.
Sounds
So,
like Vermont.
a little crazy on the weather front there. But a quick shout out to my cousin Linda Sweeney, who with my sister Wendy and my mother Sarah are out in Lake Tahoe, where they are preparing to support Linda as she rides a 100-mile bicycle ride around Lake Tahoe in honor of Jack Hurlbutt and her sister. And she will be giving it her all out there this weekend, and we all love her and support her. So cheers to them out there. So,
Very, very cool.
you know.
Indeed. All right, that's full it for us here at 545 Live and BCTV. Thanks for watching, all you out there. Viewers, making it worth producing. Thanks to everybody that kicks in a little, helps with the content. Thanks to you, Joe, for joining me at the desk.
Thanks for waiting for me.
Indeed. All right, be safe out there. We'll see you Tuesday, 5:45 p.m. right here on BCTV Channel 8 for another live edition. Night all.
Stay tuned.
Oh, that's a nice. Look at the picture they put.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Here we are. There's my chair. Oops. There was my chair.
I know.